Hello again, 7th grade. We're going to move on. Just the other day we looked at how we can multiply and divide integers, not integers, polynomials. So now we're going to monomials specifically in the last lesson. Now we're going to look at multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. And again, these are things we've done before, so it really shouldn't be too complex for you. We're just taking a few different concepts that we know and we're meshing them together for this. So simply, if we're multiplying a polynomial by a monomial, all we need to do is use the distributive property. And again, if you're confused by the properties, you can go back and rewatch that video. They're listed in your book. This is a common one that you're going to need for the rest of your math career, so it's a good one to make sure that you know. You should know all of them, but this one especially. And the distributive property simply tells me, it's basically a way to subvert order of operations. Order of operations said I should do the parentheses before I multiply. Well, I can't always do that because I can't add these. They're not alike. I don't know what y is equal to. So to kind of get around that, what we use is the distributive property. So what I can do is I can actually multiply each part by the number on the outside. So 7 times 4 plus 7 times y would be the same as if I could add these two and then multiply by 7. So when I do that, I get 28 plus 7y. That's all we have to do. This is our answer. We have now multiplied a monomial, 7, by a polynomial, or specifically here, a binomial. Okay? So that's all we're going to do. So we're just going to work through a few examples here, and we're going to keep talking through them as we go. Okay? So again, I have a monomial, 11a, that's one term, and I want to multiply it by a polynomial, in this case, a binomial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute, meaning I can multiply this number on the outside by both items on the inside. So I'm going to rewrite that so you can see it. So what I'm saying is I can multiply 11a times a squared. That's a minus sign. Let's keep that right. And I can multiply 11a times a. So that's all I'm doing. I'm distributing. So now we're just simplifying this, and this is what we're doing in the last lesson, multiplying monomials. So you know how to do that. So all we're doing is basically 2 different multiplications, and this one will be 3 different ones because there's 3 terms on the inside, okay? So again, remember our rules for multiplying exponents. I keep the base, I add the exponents. There's the implied 1, don't forget that. So I wind up here with 11a cubed. Here I have an a to the first and an a to the first, so it's 11a squared. Okay? That's it, you're done, there's no terms to combine. All right, here again we're going to distribute. The important thing here is pay attention to your sign because this is negative, so it's going to flip the signs as I multiply. So what I'm saying is I have negative 2c times c plus negative 2c times 1. So again, c to the first and c to the first gives me c squared. 2 times 1 is 2. Because remember, there's an implied 1 here, there's an implied 1 here, and here. I don't write them, you just need to know that they're there. All right? Negative 2, well, anything times 1 is itself, so I'm going to wind up with negative 2c. You'll notice I took out the plus. There's plus and negative is the same as minus, so I don't write it that way. If it's easier for you to write plus and minus, plus and negative, if that keeps it a little straighter in your head, you're welcome to, but it's not necessary. Okay? And again, we can't combine those, so we're done. So same thing here. All we're doing is distributing. We're taking this, we're multiplying it by everything inside the parentheses. So I have w squared times 4 minus w squared times, that's w to the 10th. So here I just wind up with 4w squared. You'll notice I reversed the order. You generally write the coefficient before you write your variable. That's just the standard way that we write it. W squared times 4 is the same thing. In multiplication, order doesn't matter. This is just the standard way that we accept to write it. So w to the 2nd and w to the 10th. So remember, we're adding our exponents. So I'm going to wind up with w to the 12th. There's my answer. Same thing here. Only difference is I now have 3 terms in here. I have a trinomial that I'm multiplying my monomial by. So I'm doing 3 separate multiplication problems. So I'm taking 3g, I'm multiplying it by g squared. I'm taking 3g again, and multiply it by my 2g. And then I'm taking 3g one last time, I'm multiplying it by 1. Sorry, let me look in parentheses. All right, so all I have to do is do those simple multiplication problems now, 3 different multiplication problems, and get my answer. So 3 times 1 is 3, g to the first and g to the second, g cubed. 2 times 3 is 6, g times g is g squared, and anything times 1 is itself, so 3g. So there's my answer. So it's not too complex as long as you just write out your steps so you don't get confused. That's the biggest thing I see. Just remember that you're multiplying, you're doing several different multiplications. Write each one out so that you don't get confused as you do it. If you're troubled by this, go ahead and rewatch this video. You can go back and rewatch the last one. That might help you as well, where we were multiplying monomials. That should also help refresh some of these rules within your head. All right? You know where to ask your questions. Have a great night.